Okay, get this. What if you could pick your dreams? Like literally order them up from a menu. Like you're scrolling through and it's like, adventure tonight, romance.
Yeah.
How about a nice relaxing beach scene? I mean, that's what they're promising with this new tech called DreamSync. It's a neural implant from Somnitech. And supposedly by 2048, it's going to revolutionize sleep. Like no more nightmares, total personalized dream therapy. They're even talking about dream-based entertainment, which I don't even know what that would look like.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. What happens when someone can't access this dream buffet?
Yeah, that's where things get interesting, right? Like this whole case of Elliot Vance, the last dreamer. This isn't just a guy with bad dreams. He has no dreams at all.
So one guy can't dream. Why is that a corporate crisis for a company like Sonitech?
Well, because those classified files we dug up, they kind of reveal that DreamSync wasn't just serving up dreams, it was recording them too, using our natural brain activity to refine its algorithms.
Imagine tapping into the raw, unfiltered data of millions of dreamers.
So Elliot's this undetectable brain. He's basically a glitch in the matrix. Exactly, and to understand why that's so huge, we need to unpack what makes him undetectable. See, DreamSync relies on specific neural patterns that pop up when we're dreaming. It's like a signature, a way for the system to recognize and interact with the brain.
Okay.
But Elliot, he doesn't have these patterns, so he's invisible to the technology. Totally off the grid of consciousness, at least as far as DreamSync is concerned.
Now that is fascinating.
Yeah.
And then we have this Dr. Leela Rand, who's this rogue neuroscientist who contacts Elliot. What's her deal?
Oh, Dr. Wren is where things take a bit of a darker turn. She believes dreaming isn't just random neural firing, but it's like a sophisticated self-diagnostic system for the brain. Almost like a nightly tune-up.
Hold on, so we're not just talking about fluffy clouds and unicorn rides. Dreams could be crucial to our mental well-being.
Potentially, yeah. Dr. Wren's research suggests they might play a much bigger role than we ever thought, and that raises the stakes big time.
Okay, so we have DreamSync, a corporation that might be monitoring and manipulating our dreams.
Yeah.
And then there's Elliot, the last dreamer, who's off the grid and might be missing out on some vital brain functions. This is starting to sound like a sci-fi thriller. What happens next?
Well, those classified files, remember, they hinted at Somnitech's real motive tracking and analyzing human consciousness. Elliot being undetectable, he becomes a threat to their whole operation. They can't control what they can't see.
And I'm guessing Elliot starts noticing some weird stuff happening around him.
You gotta vary. Elliot starts experiencing glitches, people acting strange moments where reality seems to warp around him. He even feels like he's being watched constantly. Now, is this paranoia a side effect of not dreaming? Or is Somnitech trying to pull him back into the system?
This is where it gets really interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because we have this real-world thing, the black box problem with AI experts building these super complex algorithms, but they don't always fully understand how these systems make decisions. It's like a black box, input in, output out. But what happens in between is a total mystery.
That's a great connection. What if DreamSync is doing way more than we realize? Like, what if it's messing with our thoughts, our emotions, even our waking lives in ways we don't even know?
And suddenly, Elliot's undetectable status seems less like a quirk and more like a superpower. He's the only one who can see behind the curtain, so to speak. But now he's got this impossible choice. Does he plug back into DreamSync, get back access to dreams, and risk being manipulated? Or does he stay off the grid, fight back against a system he doesn't understand, and maybe jeopardize his own well-being?
It's the classic dilemma, right? The individual versus the system. But what makes Elliot's story so powerful is that it forces us to ask ourselves that same question. What would we sacrifice for a perfectly designed dream life? What does true freedom even mean when our subconscious can be messed with? We'll dive deeper into Elliot's choice and what could happen because of it in the next part of our deep dive. But for now, let's leave that question hanging in the air. What would you do in Elliot's shoes?
Last time we were talking about Elliot and this huge decision he has to make, right? Plug back into DreamSync and risk being manipulated or stay off the grid and maybe miss out on vital brain functions. I mean, it really makes you think about our relationship with technology. Like, we give up so much personal data every day, browsing history, location, even biometrics.
Yeah.
But our dreams, that feels different.
Yeah, it's like our dreams are this super intimate expression of our subconscious, right? All our deepest fears, desires, memories playing out. And like we were talking about with that whole black box problem, even the people creating these advanced AI systems don't fully get how they work. So to think that a corporation could be like mining our dream data for profit, maybe even influencing our thoughts and actions, it's pretty unsettling.
So how does Elliot even begin to deal with all this? He's just an average guy, right? Not some tech genius or a secret agent.
That's what makes his story so relatable, though. He's forced to get creative use, his instincts, and the people he connects with. Remember, he's not the only one experiencing these glitches. Other DreamSync users are starting to feel like something's off, like their dreams are becoming too controlled, too predictable.
It's like they're slowly waking up from this collective dream and realizing someone's pulling the strings.
Exactly. And that's where Elliot finds his people, these rogue dreamers who are starting to question the reality that DreamSync is building for them. They become his network, his eyes and ears inside the system.
Okay, but Somnatech isn't going to just sit back and let Elliot take down their whole operation, are they? What do they do to try and stop him?
Well, they have this ultimate weapon, right? They can literally change the dreamscape itself.
Yeah.
So they start turning other DreamSync users into these virtual agents, basically weaponizing people's dreams to hunt Elliot down.
Hold on, so we're talking about an actual dream war here, like battles happening in the subconscious.
In a sense, yeah. It's a conflict that goes beyond the physical world, a struggle for control over human consciousness. And as the lines between the dream world and reality get blurrier, the stakes get even higher.
You mentioned earlier that what Elliot does starts to have real-world consequences. How does that happen?
The glitches that were once just these isolated things, they start happening more often and everywhere. Systems start crashing, communication breaks down. People are reporting weird stuff in their waking lives. It's like Elliot messing with the DreamSync network is creating these ripples that are bleeding into reality.
So now it's not just about Elliot's own fight for freedom. His actions could unravel this whole dream-controlled society.
Exactly. His struggle becomes this trigger for a bigger awakening, this system breakdown that forces people to see the truth about their carefully constructed existence.
But how do you fight something that can control your dreams, your thoughts, even how you see reality? It seems impossible.
But Elliot keeps going. Remember, being undetectable is his biggest advantage. He's like a ghost in the machine moving through the DreamSync network without a trace. And he's not alone, right? He has his network of rogue dreamers, and maybe even more importantly, he has the truth on his side.
Sounds like a classic David versus Goliath story. But what does winning even look like in this weird new world?
For Elliot, it's not about destroying DreamSync. It's about exposing it for what it is, giving people back the power to choose, the freedom to dream their own dreams, even if those dreams are messy, unpredictable, maybe even scary.
So it's about being real, about having the right to be fully human, even with all our flaws.
Exactly. It's a reminder that even though technology can do amazing things, we can't let it take over our minds, our thoughts, who we are. Elliot's story is a warning, a wake-up call in a world where the lines between reality and what's virtual are getting more and more blurred.
We've been talking about this crazy story of Elliot Vance, the last dreamer, right? And he's become like this symbol of fighting back against Omnitech and their control over dreams. But it's bigger than just one guy. His actions have started like a whole movement, a fight for the freedom to dream without someone messing with your head.
Right. Elliot's journey is like this wake-up call for everyone. Think about all those people experiencing glitches, feeling how fake their DreamSync dreams are. They're like the warning signs that something's wrong with the whole system.
So how does this rebellion even work? I mean, we know Somnitech has so much power, they can like literally change reality inside the DreamSync network.
That's where Elliot being undetectable is so important. He can organize and plan stuff inside the dreamscape because Somnitech can't track him. It's like an underground railroad, but for dreams, helping people escape from that curated dream world and get their freedom back.
But Somnitech's not just going to give up. They've got all the resources, the technology, and they seem pretty set on staying in control. So what do they do to fight back?
They take things up a notch. Remember those virtual agents we talked about, the people whose dreams are being used to hunt Elliot? Well, they get even more advanced, and it makes the lines between dreams and reality even blurrier. Imagine being chased by a nightmare that follows you into your waking life. That's how much power Somnitech has.
That's seriously creepy. It feels like the stakes just got way higher. But Elliot must have some kind of plan, right? He's not just running and hiding in the dreamscape.
His goal isn't to destroy DreamSync completely. That would be pointless, like trying to break a mirror. It wouldn't solve the problem of them having all the control. Elliot's fighting for people to see the truth for awareness. He wants everyone to know what DreamSync really is so they can choose to plug in or not.
So it's about giving people the power to decide what happens to their own minds. But how do you fight for awareness when they control the very thing you need to be aware of your dreams?
Yeah. It's a tough one. Elliot and his crew start planting these seeds of doubt within the dreamscape itself, like little glitches, inconsistencies, moments where the perfect dream world cracks and you can see the fakeness underneath. It's all about making people stop and think, wait a minute, something's not right here.
So they're using the system's own tools against them. Pretty clever. But what about the real world? Are there any consequences when this dream war spills over?
Oh, yeah, definitely. All the chaos in the DreamSync network, it starts showing up in the real world, too. Systems are crashing, communications breaking down. There are these weird things happening that nobody can explain. It's like a virus spreading from the digital world into our world.
This is where it gets really interesting. Does all this disruption wake people up? Do they start questioning what's real and how much power Somnitech has over them?
That's the big question. Some sources say there's this mass awakening where people reject DreamSync and go back to dreaming naturally. They start to appreciate the imperfections, the randomness, the raw experiences that come with real dreaming.
That's the hopeful ending the win for free will and choice. But something tells me it's not that straightforward.
You're right. Other sources say things get worse. Somnitech tightens its grip using fear and propaganda to make Elliot and his people look like terrorists, like they're a threat to everyone. They say that DreamSync is the only way to keep people safe, to keep things moving forward, to have a better future.
So it becomes this battle for people's minds, both in the dreamscape and the real world. Who wins?
That's the crazy part. The sources we have don't really give us a clear answer. It seems like the fight is still going on, this back and forth between control and freedom, between those who want to shape our dreams and those who want to dream their own dreams.
So it's like a cliffhanger, this unresolved tension just hanging there. What does it all mean for us, in the here and now?
I think it reminds us that this fight for our minds, for the freedom to think and experience things without being manipulated, it's not over. It's happening right now in the ways algorithms control what we see online and the data we give to companies, even in the stories we tell ourselves about the world.
So Elliot's story, this fight for control over consciousness, it's not just science fiction. It's reflecting the stuff we're dealing with today.
Exactly. And it's a reminder that the choices we make, the awareness we have, the questions we ask, they all matter. Because the future of our minds, what it means to be human, could depend on it.
That's a pretty powerful thought to leave our listeners with. This deep dive into DreamSync Elliot Vance, The Last Dreamer, it's a wake-up call. It's an invitation to question things, and ultimately it's a challenge to protect our own minds. Until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and most importantly, keep dreaming.